This is Reality Dispatch, written by Jim Mins.
The room was full at the Gibson Garage, London, the next chapter of the guitar manufacturer's offshoot showcase facility. The success of the original garage, located in the heart of the music scene, Nashville, Tennessee, prompted the company to expand its reach beyond the pond, to showcase the instruments of artists who had championed the brand through their musical endeavors of the early 60s through to the late 70s. What better way to highlight the innovative use of the 1959 classic Les Paul design than to have a signature artist, Johnny Paper, present his infamous number one, and to have the company's custom shop produce a limited batch of replicas made according to spec and nuance. Johnny was there to present the unveiling of the instrument that spawned 1,000 bands, from Black Sabbath, Guns N' Roses to Joe Bonamassa. The instrument was iconic, and in the hands of Paper, the icon morphed into deity. The powers that combined with the master musician's use of a bow, harmonica, and pencil to extract songs from the electric guitar was innovative in the least, unheard of at the most. With his band, Save Your Paper, they single-handedly redefined what it was to be an artist. They were also notorious. But such discretions were relocated to the annals of history. Today, the focus is purely on the music and the means by which that musical prowess was attained. Roger would have been lying if he denied being a fan. The electricity in the room was infectious. He had memories of his youth, slotting cassette tapes into his GM station wagon, rolling on down the 1.05 with his high school buddies listening to Save Your Paper classics such as Grandma Needs Your Cookie and Don't Forget to Suit Up. Johnny Paper was a riff-writing machine. He was, in no doubt and in the opinion of Roger, and with the exception of perhaps Jimi Hendrix, the greatest musician who ever played guitar. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who redefined the electric guitar as we know it, would you please put your hands together for Mr. Johnny Paper, announced the CEO of Gibson Guitars Incorporated. The crowd clashed shoulder to shoulder. Snaps went off to capture the man. Long hair, beyond gray, that was bordering into white, strolling cautiously to the raised platform for all who were there to worship. He raised both hands and extended both front fingers into a V. He was still magnetic enough to draw a crowd despite his heyday long since passing. He still commanded the allegiance of those who worshipped at the altar of the rock gods, no matter how dwindling his influence. His image alone was enough to evoke cool. He put on his sunglasses indoors at the flashes of bulbs emitted from the digital cameras. Roger had his Pentax out in his hand, but refused to partake in the mad scramble to collect an image. If he had, he would be not only competing with all the pro snappers, but the amateur Instagrammers, who outnumbered them all. Besides, he had been promised a one-on-one with the man of the hour, and any preliminary shots he got from the organizers of the pre-unveiling meet and greet would be enough to supplement his portraits. Johnny, before we pull back the curtain and unveil the beauty that is your Jenny, can you please first tell us all? Why did you name this iconic guitar Jenny? The CEO asked into his microphone as both men sat down in the director's chairs. Well, Stephen, I'd love to answer such a question. Truth is, I don't remember. Johnny replied behind his dark shades as both men began to laugh. The audience laughed along with them. There's also a very famous story that goes along with the original Jenny, which some of you here may be aware of. Back in London in the late 60s, I was playing with Jeff Beck and Hendrix in a club in Soho. On a particular night, Eric Clapton presented Jimmy with a guitar, a Sunburst Les Paul made in 1959. Now, nobody played Sunburst Les Pauls that were made in 1959. I don't know why. Everybody seemed to love Stratocasters. Especially Jimmy, as we all know. But anyway, Jimmy was presented with it just as he was about to go on stage, and he strapped it on and stood there and just strummed away at it. It sounded magnificent. I mean, Purple Haze, Little Wing, Voodoo Child, coming out of a Marshall amp at 100 watts, and is being played on PAF pickups. It sounded like God playing the guitar. I mean, it was truly something else, and it was at that moment that I decided I needed to have one. Not just one, I needed to have it, that particular one. So I don't remember why we called it Jenny, but I do remember the sound Hendrix made with it, And the moment I decided I had to have it, Johnny explained to the audience. The crowd erupted in thunderous applause. Hearing the iconic story of the discovery of this instrument made them clap vigorously on cue. Roger wondered what the thunder would sound like once the curtain was pulled on the actual replica. "It's because I was 13, came a voice from the back of the crowd. "I remember you said to me, 'I will always remember your name because you are the youngest girlfriend I have ever had.'" Roger turned to see where the voice had emerged. The entire audience had. The Q&A had gone quiet. There, at the back of the showroom, a woman in her late 50s stood defiant, with a crowd of supporters directly behind. "I said to you, prove it," she continued. Johnny stood up to leave, the CEO scrambling to keep him sitting in his seat, the reveal of the replica having yet taken place. "You said you would," she yelled. "Don't walk away from me, Johnny Paper. You said you would name your guitar after me. My name is Jenny Maddox. You remember me, Jenny Maddox. Don't walk away from me." Roger began snapping his pentax in her direction. The team of supporters blocking the entrance to the shopfront cheered her on as she yelled at the departing guitar legend. Roger looked back at the stage area to get a final glimpse of Johnny with his head down, his sunglasses firmly over his eyes, and his hand covering what little dignity he had left over his eyes. As if he believed if he could not see the drama unfolding, it wasn't happening in real life. "You ruined my life, Johnny Paper," she yelled. But he was gone. The curtain was pulled back to reveal a pristine replica of a 1959 Les Paul Standard, aged with paint scratches and scuff marks, showcasing the wear and tear that Johnny Paper had inflicted. Only he hadn't on this particular model. It was a shadow, a clone of the damage he had committed, a fictional glimpse for anyone with enough dough to win for themselves. Roger wondered who would be willing to foot the bill after the events of that late afternoon. There were some sporadic claps at the unveiling. Some were transfixed by its beauty. Most were concerned with the drama that had unfolded and the rewriting of rock history that had occurred before their very eyes.
For more stories of fact-based fiction, head to jimmins.substack.com.